Hello and welcome to what I think is the final boss of Daybreak. I'm not sure really, the game took a bit of a turn in the end, and before I forget, the real spoiler, not just seeing some game content ahead of time, will be happening right about now. The final bombshell we got, and we might have speculated back and forth what all the backstory of Van could mean, is something like when your grandma tells you she set up a dinner at a table on the dark side of the moon. Well, you could set up a table and place someone's dinner there. Table and the dark side of the moon exist, but there's a reason that never happens. Incidentally, my little joke about suppers ready in the Genesis Tower was closer to the truth than I thought, since part of the inspiration was Gabriel thinking his wife was possessed by a demon. It was the 60s, so I guess drugs and religions hit different. Anyway, Wen is one of the 5 head demons that rules over the other 72 demons of Gehenna. If you didn't solve that puzzle with the informations you got before the revelations, you're not alone. Just like you wouldn't expect Grandma setting up the dinner table on the dark side of the moon. Anyway, we now have to get our stray demon back, I guess, so let's go.
He really is up here. Thank you, Mare. This must be a barrier that analyzes those who try to walk through it, and will only let people from Arkwright Solutions pass. Aw, if I'd known this was going to happen, I'd have tried sneaking my way into a job, too. I'm so sorry, Elaine.
Don't worry about it. I'll leave this in your hands. Just give him a big smack for us, all right?
You got it!
Then let's do this!
What a peculiar space.
It's a terrifying sight to behold, and yet I feel warm just being here.
I really hope we don't have a full dungeon to explore now.
I've never been to this place before, but I'm feeling oddly nostalgic.
Yeah. So nostalgic that it hurts.
Yeah, he changed a little.
You've got to be kidding me. What are you idiots doing? You shouldn't be here. Thought I told you to take care of them, Master. Why'd you let them come to this place?
You will have plenty of time to berate me for it later.
You can't leave us, Van!
This can't be the only way to deal with that demon. I refuse to accept that.
Well, accept it. We're talking about a being that sees the entire world as its enemy. I felt its presence for so long. It's been with me since I was a kid. But I couldn't tell anyone about it. It was a secret I planned to take to the grave. I can't destroy this thing, but I can seal it away in the boundary between here and the beyond. It'll at least keep it at bay for a few centuries. That's the best I can do to protect your futures. So leave me be. This is the choice that I've made. It's not a black or white decision. It's...
We're not going to leave you, Van! You may have chosen to come here of your own volition, but we've made a choice of our own. We're taking you back!
You know full well I'm not like the cops or bracers. I do things my own way. And that way isn't black, but it definitely ain't white either. Mine's like the color of a dark blue sky just before dawn.
I'm not going to become a wholly different person if I stay by your side. I'm very much my own woman, and that's not about to change.
Your way isn't black, white, or even gray. You said it's like the color of the dark blue sky just before dawn. But to me, it's like the dawn itself. It's a warm, comforting light that illuminates our way and breaks through the darkest nights. And I never want to part from that light again. We aren't going to let you go, no matter what.
You wanna up and leave us that bad, huh? Well, normally I'd say, that's your call, so long, my dude. But you've still got an outstanding debt, so I'm not letting you bail on me.
Yeah, I'll drag you back by the collar if I have to.
Let us help you, Van. You always stick your neck out for us, so why can't we return the favor? If we were in your shoes, you'd rush to our aid without a second thought. Don't deny it.
I'm afraid he's got you there, Mr. Arkwright. I can easily picture that happening. If any of us were in danger, you would move heaven and earth itself to ensure our safety.
Once a softie, always a softie. Honestly, you should drop the whole I'm not good or bad thing. You're just a teensy bit too young for the weary warrior act, don't you think?
Everyone. Why?
You have actively forged many bonds throughout this year. I'm afraid this is simply karma at work. Don't think you can run away from them so easily, young man.
Master.
What's happening?
Damn it. This is way too soon. Get out of here now. It's going to...
Who has awoken me from my slumber? Was it you?
It's talking directly into my mind.
What in the world? What's going on here?
Pretty obvious, isn't it?
In this world, I am the being known as the Vagrant Demon Lord. I am connected to the one you call Van Arkwright through a diabolic core.
The demon that's been residing within Mr. Arkwright must have taken control.
Yeah, I have many questions. One, how did it get in there? Two, well, it can be answered in another time, I guess.
But why? What happened to Van?
My foolish vessel rebelled against me. He sought to chain me to the void. The endless passage of time holds little meaning to a being such as myself. However, such boundless arrogance cannot go unpunished.
We're gonna have a problem here.
Get out of here!
Yes! Will you kindly disappear already? We were talking to Van, not you! We don't care about you in the slightest! So get out of our sight and return Van to us at once!
Whoa.
The Genesees are reacting!
Cool.
What's happening now?
I see. So you have their power at your disposal. That explains how that was able to bind me.
I think the Genesees are having an effect.
I'm still not quite sure what these things actually are. The explanation we got just doesn't make much sense in context.
Yes, I can confirm that its strength has decreased.
But how? What did Epstein create with these things?
Good. I think Van's body is still somewhere inside of it.
Oh, inside. Yeah, that's great.
We just need to weaken it a little more.
Just let me at it already. I'll rip it to shreds!
Our odds of victory have increased exponentially.
Many eons have passed since I last entered the realm of mortals. I will strike down all that stand in my way. Face the abyss, insignificant humans.
We'll show you who's insignificant!
Your first and last mistake is underestimating us humans!
Here we are. Final boss. Still hard mode. And everyone is geared up. I think I didn't fine-tune the augments on some of them, but all slots are open and filled, so that's a plus. I really don't understand the last few events really. The Genesis are somewhat powerful, and the hint was that they can alter reality in some way, which would explain some of the weird things Armata was able to pull off with them. But can something like this really be this unknown? Did Epstein hide this even from his disciples? And why is there a ticking clock involved? The whole reason Anis is collecting them in the first place. Is this in some way connected to the degradation of the Septium veins? Even Ouroboros doesn't seem to know or care about these things. They just try to remove the Septarians, but each Genesis seems to be able to do similar things. Did Epstein create artificial Septarians? I mean, they created a Septarian of Zero with care for a short time, but I don't think that's the same. With all the other stuff happening, all these questions kind of fly under the radar, but it's quite interesting. Anyway, I should give a fast strategy explanation on this one. And I read this more by accident than anything else, which is kind of lucky since that stuff could very well make me repeat the fight. The boss actually has two phases. The first one is this one, and he will mark one of your characters every now and then to banish them on his next turn. Since all of my characters are more or less worth the same damage-wise, I don't think it matters too much, but Anis is special, so I really need to avoid her getting the banhammer here. As you can see, he marked Bergard, and to avoid him getting banned I would need to swap him out, which is a problem since it's the boss turn before Bergard, making it completely impossible to swap him out before he bans him. Not even sure how he picks his targets. Anyway, the other thing about this phase 1 is you need to push him to 50% fast. So this banish problem isn't getting you in trouble or anything else, since you could lose too many people. Not that you would need more than 4 anyway, but you kind of want to avoid losing too many, I guess. The damage output of this guy and his minions isn't too much of a problem, but I guess we still need to push it so we can leave this phase and get a real fight going. Which I know nothing about, funny enough, because I only read something about phase 1. I guess this time is as good as any to give some final thoughts. I keep recording after the fight to see if I get some cliffhanger stuff like we had at the end of Sky first chapter. You know, one with impact. The other two times we had a cliffhanger was Cold Steel 1 and 3. The cliffhanger in 1 was very weak, and while 3 was quite something at the end, at that point Ween's face wasn't important. Sure, he was captured, but the real impactful stuff was happening before that. The Red Wing exploded, and maybe Olivier would be dead? It wasn't confirmed, but highly likely. Then there was Millium's death, which really was a downer. But it's Cold Steel. They pressed a reset button rather viciously in the fourth part, and while I was kind of happy for Olivier and Millium to still be around, avoiding consequences in your story isn't a smart move. There are no stakes if you just revive everyone you could have killed in the last part. Which brings us right back to Daybreak, since they really didn't shy away from consequences in this one. Killing of Ada, having a whole village wiped out, taking out Dingo. This one hit hard almost every chapter. And there was no reset button this time. The other thing to mention is, we are back on track as far as characters go. Van is somewhat Ween 2.0. Both of them are plagued with some kind of curse. Both of them have, despite having some of the best trainers, or like the game calls them masters, a rather poor understanding of their fighting style. They are both pushed into the leader role, and there are still more parallels. The differences are quite obvious too. Van works, Ween doesn't. Yeah, it's that simple. Van is believable, he has his principles and lives by them. He protects and supports his fellow Arkwright Solution members. He also knows what he wants and knows his limitations without getting dragged down by them. The other characters, and we have some stereotypes here as well, don't get me wrong, are also very well established throughout the story. They also generally all get one chapter to flesh them out. The two most interesting characters for me were Anise, the protagonist who grows the most over time, and the other one would be Farida Al-Fayed, which I thought at first would be a Fee clone, but aside from some military mannerism and jargon, Fairy is completely different. Character and story are both top-notch. The tactical fights, on the other hand, have been very pedestrian. I played this in hard mode and never really thought I'd be in trouble. Never ever thought I could actually lose a fight. In later chapters, there often was the option, take the Grendel at the boss fights, and I never used that since I really didn't need to. The Grendel itself is overpowered, and using that in a normal boss fight would be like cheating. Well, back to this fight. We managed to save Judy by stunning him, so I was able to swap her before the exile thing happened. Otherwise it seems there's no chance to do that, since the mark and the exile happen before the character's turn. Guess we need to push this, so we changed to phase 2 and leave this exile thing behind us. So to push it, I guess Farida's S-Craft is as good as any. Why are the others not available? Do I have that low CP on everyone? Oh, I have to do something about that. We are very close to 50%. That should be it.
Watch it. They're trying to attack. This'll do the trick.
Watch out, you guys! Something's coming!
Activate skill.
Zeros, get to work!
A crack appeared!
Yes! Maybe Van can...
Insolent vessel! Dare oppose me!
Oh, I dare, all right! I'm busting out of here!
Van!
Thank goodness.
Ugh. Can you still fight?
Hell yeah, I'm in top form. Got a lot I want to say to y'all. But that can wait. We got a demon lord to slay. And I'm gonna need everyone's help to do it. Can you give me a hand?
Do you even have to ask?
Since we're so nice, we'll do it on the house.
Leave all your support needs to me.
Here, Van! Catch!
Thanks. Mare!
Well, look who's back. Just say the word and I'll do my thing.
Okay, let's do this!
I think it's time for the big bad demon lord to kiss its ass goodbye. What do you say, Van?
Yeah.
You truly are an ignorant vessel. If you think you can escape me, you are sorely mistaken.
In some ways, that thing's an extension of myself. If you guys have got any pent-up anger toward me, then let it loose on that thing instead!
Will do! We won't allow you to hurt anyone else. Prepare to meet your end!
Regret the foolish choice you have made, vessel.
So, we've got Van back and we can take the Gwendol. So he is in Gwendol mode all the time. Normally I don't use the Gwendol, but I think with that amount of hit points, I need to speed it up some way.
Make it out!
Taking center stage.
A chance for a shard boost.
Going all in. Thanks, pal.
Barry, help me out.
Now's a good time to boost.
This'll hurt!
Activating skill.
That which brings ruin to this possible world.
So he starts round 2 with his S-Craft. Good choice, very solid.
This is dangerous.
And it does a good amount of damage, but that has to be expected. And that's what Anis is for, so I guess we can shrug that part off. At least we don't have to worry about more exiles, which reminds me, Path of Exile 2 is coming up.
Boost gauge limit increased.
Yeah, these fights really don't keep me focused all that much. And it really puzzles me, since some of the mechanics actually have improved. The Orpman part is far better than in Cold Steel. I still prefer the Guide to Azure way it was done, but this is a good compromise between the Cold Steel changes and the old version. Battle orders have been thrown on the same pile the combo quests have been thrown on, and many things have been cleaned up. So this is definitely an improvement mechanic-wise. I also like that you only spend 100 CP on your S-Craft, while reducing the replenishment of the CP to a more pre-cold steel level. The new link system is a mixed bag. It makes it almost impossible to position your character strategically and use the link system at the same time. They got around this by having a more classic RPG setup with roles. Van is the tank, turns the opponent away from the damage dealer and the healer, so they can use the new link system in peace without eating too much area damage. That all sounds fine on paper, but we also largely lost any chance to change the turn order and swap out bonuses of specific rounds with other characters, which always was a huge part of the turn-based fights. And since positioning now is just Van on the one side, the team on the other side, in the end there's nothing to do all fight long than just attack him. And maybe use craft once in a while. I think the most strategic thing I do is cancel his buffs. And while that is going on, the bosses don't have much going for them either. They have a bunch of medium attacks that Van can take with ease. All you need is to make sure the hit points of everyone are kept high enough to survive his S-Craft, and you are golden. The arts are mostly useless. I got some unique orbments on Anise. You get that one late in the game, and that pushes the art damage of her, so at least you have one good caster in your group. Against larger groups on the field, having a good area art with the right element will still help you. Otherwise, just do normal attacks while linked with someone. It's far more efficient. Seriously, what is there to talk about this fight? Spoiler, I will win. I made a video about the Azure final boss since that one was tricky. I made an hour-long video about the last boss in Reverie in the highest difficult setting. That at least was an interesting fight. They had a lot of mechanics boss-wise in Reverie that made the fights interesting. You had much more pressure on your characters to fight back. Here I take the Grand Long cooldown, and that's mainly because it's faster. Just taunting the boss with Van and keep hitting him would work more or less the same. I know that. I did it every other boss fight so far. Which is a shame. I really like this game. Even though the story has some holes in it, if you really think about it. Mainly if you think about the plan of the villains. Yeah, maybe that's a more interesting topic. We know the goal of the main villain, get the rest of the demonic core. He doesn't even know Van has it. He was happy to have found it at the end of chapter 5, you know, shortly before he died. From my point of view, the guy took over Almata, acquired 6 of the 8 Genesis, abused their power for his plans to find the Devil Core, and that leads to even more unanswered questions. How did he get knowledge about the Genesis? He used them, but it never seemed to me he really knew what they are and what they are capable of. And he never cared when he lost one. He did go through them like tic-tacs. Another thing I really want to know here. How did he think his plan would play out? He tried to get the nuclear formula, which was something that actually was important to his plan. What about all the other stuff? The fallout at the film festival, the zombie stuff at Quail, and in all the other chapters prior to the big game in Oation. With that in mind, how could he be sure the person of interest he was searching for, the one with the Devil Core, would not only show up, but was also winning the tournament? Was that even the plan? And if it was, What would have happened if they lost and the city would have been nuked like quail? What would he have gained if the Devil Core bearer was nuked too? What actually was his plan? Could he collect the Devil Core after the guy was nuked? Would it still be around? Up to that we could have thought they are just bored and sadistic, but they actually had a goal, Pandemonium, which they reached, so why did they give the opponents a chance to stop them? Why did only people who interacted with Ren not freeze? Something like touched by the Devil's Core? He also revived or freed all his minions for this. I don't get it! Up to the final fight in Oation, this story really seemed to work out. And I still like it. But it's kind of falling apart from that point onward, and I hope Daybreak 2 will fill in some of the gaps here, because with the stuff I know, the plan of the villains doesn't make sense, and with that, most of what happened doesn't make much sense. While playing all the previous chapters, you could think these villains had a master plan, something that would make all the stuff they did matter, that would lead to something. Up to the tournament in Oasian, where I thought, yeah, what are we doing here? This doesn't seem to make much sense. It would only make sense if the tournament would have forced the participants to kill each other. That way you could get rid of a lot of very dangerous opponents. I think everyone who participated in this tournament was in the end stronger than Amata. The Silver Blade and her Jäger, I would also have bet on Ouroboros winning if they had to face off against the Amata goons, because they're just way more powerful. Even the Bracers had way better personnel than Amata. And then there were the Graal's Ritter. I don't know. Everyone on the field was looking stronger than Amata itself. So they set themselves up for a defeat to come back for Pandemonium. Although, was Pandemonium not linked with the Devil Core, and they would have the need to find the Devil Core owner before they could even execute their plan? So yeah, that's what I think about the story. It was great up to the 5th chapter, and then it seemed like they lost their plot thread. I don't know, maybe they just wanted to set up the second part, and so in the end it just feels like they set up a second part, put all the characters on the board, and Almata was just the villain of the week that needed to be overcome. Which would be a bit of a disappointment, because normally the Trail series is better than that. We also have, apart from Genesis, a few things to think about. What exactly was Anyi's father's arrangement with Ouroboros? Knowing Ouroboros, they want to remove the Zeptarian who may or may not be in Calvert from the board, but what was the plan of Annie's father? Then there is Bergard, who should be dead. How was he resurrected? How did he come back? I mean, he lost his stigma because he died. That is no small thing. That is an interesting question as well. I guess we will get to know how she ended up being a cyborg, but it doesn't seem to be the most important question to be answered. I found it kind of funny they had a new Prince Olivier in Cherit, since they couldn't use Olivier in this one. It would have been very awkward if he would have shown up in Calvert after this tiny little war they had in Cold Steel. I can't imagine that Erebonian royalty is in high regards at the moment in Calvert. It's also funny they brought Gambler Jack in this one. There was a book series about him and there was a minigame with him in Trails in the Sky the Third. So it's funny he is here in the flesh. Yeah, all this rambling can't change the fact that this fight is not particularly interesting. It's smooth sailing. I mean, I have the Grendel, that means I'm at least doing this a little faster than without him. And as you can see, instead of positioning my characters carefully around the playing field, I'll just put Van in one corner, Grendel or not, and let him taunt. The rest can freestyle. So my only job is to keep my health bar full enough to survive the S-craft, and everything else will be a piece of cake. It's hard to believe this is the end boss. I remember extremely hard fights against the end boss in Trails in the Sky second chapter. I mean, even the boss before the end boss was really hard. Then there was of course the end boss of Sky the Third, which really takes a while and has some mechanics that you have to overcome. Then of course there was the interesting fight at the end of Azure. Even Reverie had a wonderful end fight. Cold Steel had something very creative, not necessarily very hard. All things considered, this is, I'd say, almost boring. How did we get here? I can't even say much about the fight. The Grendel does the damage, the others put in some effort here, and whenever needed, Agnes is just healing them up to make sure the fight doesn't end with one hard-hitting S-craft of the opponent. But I can't even comment this. It's so... There's nothing happening that needs my attention. I'm a little interested to see what happens after the fight. Are we going to go to the end credits immediately, or will there be more stuff to do? I mean, this can't really be the end, can it? So, let's see. A stun! Nice. Let's hit him really, really, really hard. I want this over with. I need to push it. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's good damage. Luckily, with all the serum stuff I've collected in all the chapters, I won't run out of CP. That means I can keep the Grendel up and running. And of course I can give Anise what she needs to heal the party. I can imagine if I get the highest difficulty level, this could already have been the death of some of the characters. The S-crafts really hit hard, but this is hard mode, nobody dies from the S-craft if they were at full health, and if you want to see hard mode, I play StarCraft 2 with two of my friends every Wednesday, and that's hard mode. This is, well, easy going. And I think we are getting closer to the end now. Good riddance. Although maybe he launches a final attack that kills everybody instantly. We had those with some end bosses, so maybe that's his catch.
Deploying shield.
Yeah, only a little more, only a little more.
Bold of you.
It's quite fascinating. Reverie was a lot of fun. The story was kind of dumb and very much a construct to even get this kind of story of on the road. But it was enjoyable. And it kind of made fun of the whole Cold Steel arc in a way. Especially when it comes to the game mechanics. They put every ridiculous thing from Cold Steel into it. The completely overpowered orbments they constructed after the system change they attempted completely failed. Then there was the battle commands, and even they were very ridiculous and overpowered. And some extra mechanics too, so that kind of was a wink to the audience, saying, yeah, we know we overdid it at this point, accept our apology and have fun. This has very clean mechanics, and somehow they ended up with the most boring tactical fights they ever had. How was that possible? I just don't understand this. They did so many other things better. The characters were introduced properly. The bonding scenes were still there, but if I remember correctly, you miss one per chapter and that's not as bad. I don't think these bonding scenes are a very good idea anyway, because in the end you still miss one, and you don't want to miss these because they are kind of important to learn more about the characters, so I think they do a disservice in the end.
Great circle of light. Give unto us the breath of life.
I'll take that.
Oh, I think we are finally doing it.
Activating skill.
I shall handle this. Activating skill.
Let's see if something else happens.
Mere humans. This being, even in my weakest state, I should not have been bested.
Well, you were, so suck it up. No one likes a sore loser. Afraid I'm just not ready to give in to you yet. My body and soul are still mine, so do me a favor and scram.
Very well. I shall retreat for the time being. But remember this. You and I are one and the same, and we always will be. As long as you live, you will never know peace. You had best not forget that.
It's the diabolic core.
What? Don't touch that! We are not doing a repeat of last time.
Don't worry. I'm just putting this where it belongs.
You threw the damn thing?
Is it finally over then?
Yeah. At least, it's over for now. How about we get out of here?
In the end, Van came back to us, safe and sound. That marked the beginning of a very busy 3 weeks that somehow flew by in an instant. We all did what we could to help Van deal with the aftermath of what had happened while making preparations of our own. Then, on the day that the second term at Aramis ended and my winter vacation began,
So I guess this is it. I will keep the recording going so you can see the end credits. But I will leave here. Bye bye.
Well, guess this is it, huh? Cleanup after all that took longer than I expected, but glad I still had you all around to help out.
don't even mention it. Juggling the work with my Sunday school exams was hard, but also really fun.
I still can't believe Almada made such a mess of the Orbital network. You know it's bad when it takes Professor Hamilton and the others half a month to repair it.
Figures, though. Turns out that one of Heiyue's elders was supporting Almada's plan. Explains why Sound Gian showed up here in Edith all of a sudden, though.
Wrenches in the gears aside, you all did great. Especially you, Reset. If Marduk hadn't loaned you over, I don't know what we would have done.
You're too kind. I'm grateful for the chance to assist you and learn from those experiences. That said, I wish we weren't left with so many lingering questions concerning Mare.
It's not like we learned nothing. But I'd say that's a problem for another day. By the way, why are you, of all people, taking a train?
Am I not allowed to use public transit? I'm the public too, you know. The expressways always get really busy this time of year, so trains are easier.
Hey, that's her, isn't it? It totally is, but we shouldn't bug her while she's talking to people. We'll have to snag an autograph when she's done. Something tells me you're gonna be busy your whole trip. Still, I'm really happy we could see you off.
Well, it's the least I could do.
As for you, Master, I honestly don't think I'll ever be able to thank you enough. I'm easily your worst student, and I can't promise that this is the last time I'm gonna cause you trouble. But if nothing else, I think I've finally taken a step forward.
And for that, I'm glad. Always remember this, Van. One's journey through life proceeds down a path of endless possibilities. Your path belongs only to you. But that doesn't mean you must walk it alone. The paths of those around you cross, intertwine, and run alongside your own. This is a fundamental truth of the world. So it does me proud to see you finally understand it.
Sorry for being such a slow learner.
Van.
I believe it'd do us all well to remember those words.
No kidding.
It's the top of the hour and time for the 5 o'clock news. Normalcy has finally returned to the streets of Edith following the sudden chaos of this year's Revolution Festival.
Anyway, it's freezing out here and you've all got trains to catch, so it's about time we wrap this up. If you ever want to shoot me an orb mail, feel free. I'm not much of a writer though, so I may not get back to you. But really, it's been great working with you guys. I'm sure we'll all meet again someday, somewhere. Okay, what's with the looks?
About that? I just have a few credits to get out of the way in Basel. I'll be back before you know it.
What?
Me too. I've got an important role in the New Year's festival. And since my brother will be home for it too, I want to get in a little training before I return.
Hold on.
I want to be back in Longport for the anniversary of Mom's death. After I'm done dancing and partying it up through the Lunar New Year, I'll be right back here.
But I thought...
In truth, I am only planning to make a report concerning Almada's recent actions and undergo routine maintenance. If it's not a bother, I was hoping to renew our contract for the next term.
And I'm still renting that room in your building, so of course I'll be around. Not all the time, though. I'll be crazy busy once my next movie starts shooting early next year.
I plan to travel around and see my other students, so I will regrettably be away for some time. Speaking of crossing paths, is this not the perfect demonstration?
Yeah, you don't have to beat me over the head with it. And you! I'll bet you knew about this the whole damn time!
Sorry. Consider it your just desserts for lying to us earlier.
You got God, old fart.
Let this be a lesson to you.
So how are things looking for the school festival? All good?
All good. We managed to put together a basic plan. We'll leave preparations and putting together a proper budget for around the start of the new year. I'm not just going to lean on Ren for it all either. I'm going to give it my all. Oh, but I still plan to drop by the office at least once a week. If no one's around to keep you in check, Adios knows how questionable your diet could get.
Not like it'd be any different from before. Get me. Focus on your studies and the festival. At least we know we don't ever have to worry about Almada coming back. We've still got our fair share of unanswered questions. The Grendel, the Genesees. Not much we can do but wait and see what happens. I'll probably just handle some light gigs in the meantime.
But...
Hey, no worries. Okay, sure, that thing is still inside me, and I have no clue when it might resurface. And when that time comes, I might make the same choice all over again. But I know all too well that I've got a group of hardasses here who'd rather go through hell than leave me be. So I'll think long and hard on it next time. No lie. I swear.
Sounds awful suspicious to me. Though I might believe you if I'm allowed to help you twice a month at minimum.
I deserve that. Well, guess that's the best I can hope for. It's on the outskirts of the 10th district, yeah? We're about 10 minutes from there. Guessing it's a pretty big place?
No, not at all. It's just your average suburban detached home. We have a modest garden that Mom used to grow flowers and herbs in. She had quite the green thumb. Oh, and we've got our sweet little dog, too. His name's Alphonse, and he's a good boy. He mostly stays at our official residence these days. I haven't seen him in ages, so I've missed him very much. I'll have to introduce you to him. The two of them should be back home by now.
Actually, I wasn't planning to stay. I'm just gonna drop you off and... Wait, what do you mean by two of them? You aren't talking about your dad, are you?
Of course I am. He was up to the neck in work until just yesterday. But today is the start of his end-of-year vacation, so we're finally going to spend some time together. I believe he wants to have a talk with you. About your compensation and a few other things.
Oh, come on. There's no way he was serious about the pay. That place will be crawling with security. So, sorry, but I ain't gonna...
Don't worry about that. They only guard the outside of the house, so they'll leave us alone. Also, I've got a delicious Andalusia winter tart. Limited edition. You can share it with Dad. I'll brew your coffee while you chat away.
You gotta be shitting me. When the hell do you kids get so damn sly?